There are so many ways to build wealth. And one of the ways is by building your own company. Are you an entrepreneur? Then this is for you. Hi, I'm Lynn Kitchen, and today my guest is Kelly Roach, a top business strategist who dropped her first audiobook. I don't know if it's your first audiobook, Kelly, and you can tell us in a minute, but it is absolutely my first audiobook experiencing your books. And you've written many of them. And this one is called Bigger Than You, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Building an Unstoppable Team. So I am truly, truly honored to have you with me today. Thank you for being here, Kelly Roach.
I am so excited to be here with you, Lynn. Thanks for having me.
I truly am delighted and honored. And, I just wanted to sing your praises for a minute, if it's okay. Kelly Roach has grown her own business consulting company to over 8 figures and has been on the Inc. magazine list of over 5,000 top corporations, not once but twice, if I understand that correctly. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, but you've also built an entire portfolio of several entrepreneurial companies that you run along with your team. You're author of several best-selling books, and I just want to say this is an extraordinary accomplishment, and I'm just thrilled and excited to be with you on this particular launch of this book. So, Kelly, why don't we begin by you telling us all what was the compelling reason that you are releasing this book now, and what are your hopes for it?
That is such a good question. Thank you so much, Lynn. So, I decided to release this audiobook now because we are in this changing season, right? I always say that as a leader, you have to be a 4-season CEO. And whether you're an employee who wants to grow your career in a company, or whether you're an owner, or whether you're someone that wants to lead in your community as a part of your church, everything in life comes down to leadership. And we are in a season where great leadership is required if you want to achieve high levels of success. And so I wrote the original manuscript for this book 7 years ago. I released the physical book 6 years ago. And I brought this back today and did a complete revamp, up level, a bunch of new chapters, a bunch of new support resources, because I understand that right now, that in order for leaders to get better results, to grow their income, to navigate the hurdles of the economy, to achieve their big dreams, they have to be better equipped with the tools and the mindset and the skill set to lead people. And I think a lot of people, Lynn, don't necessarily think of themselves as leaders. Oh, that's not for me. I only do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Oh, I don't have a big team. That doesn't relate to me. Every single one of us are leaders. We're leaders with our children. We're leaders in our communities. We're leaders in our churches. We're leaders in business. We're leaders in our careers. Every interaction that we have with other people, in order to get a positive outcome for all, there has to be leadership. And so you lead better, you grow faster. And the goal is, how do we equip more people with extraordinary leadership capability and potential so that they can go out and do great things in the world? That's the goal.
That is the goal, and I'm all for it. I want you to know that it was really fun and cool to listen to this audiobook. This is how I did it. I listened to this audiobook like this, and it was all day yesterday, and I could not take my ears off of this audiobook, Kelly. This is an extraordinary audiobook, and I just want to shout out to the world and invite everybody who's watching and to share with other people. This particular book is different than any other audiobook and or business guide I've ever listened to or read. And here's why. I think that this is such a detailed guide to not only building wealth by building your own company by
Mhm.
building your own team. And I want you to talk about that in a minute. But I also think that you went panoramic in scope. You not only drilled down deep, and taught strategic things that we need to listen and we can take action on, but you also went wide so that I was inspired, as I think all leaders and all entrepreneurs will be. So I just first of all want to commend you, because this book is not, it was fun to listen also to your voice. You're not only the author, but you're the narrator. So you brought in your personality, you brought in your passion, and you brought in your skill set. And so I just want to say thank you, because this is something, and you mentioned that you might not be thinking of yourself as a leader. And sometimes, some days I certainly don't. But I
Mhm.
noticed in some of your earlier chapters on mindset how much you appealed to just about every kind of entrepreneur, that they could see themselves or hear themselves in your description. You talked about having a full team, you talked about having a fractional team. There's
Mhm.
a lot of entrepreneurs that go through all these different
Yeah.
uh, way, but how you came with this particular guide seems to cover all of that. Could you speak to that, a part of yourself, that you really have something for every entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? I spent the last almost 12 years coaching leaders, entrepreneurs, high powered business owners. But that wasn't where my leadership coaching and training started. For more than a decade before that, I did this work in the Fortune 500 world. And so I have hired, coached, trained, and led hundreds of people under my care, both in the corporate world and in the entrepreneurial space. And so, Lynn, you said it went wide and it also went deep. And that's because it's really pulling forward all of those pitfalls, those challenges, those struggles and obstacles that I see people facing. And it's giving them a playbook. You mentioned the word guide, and I picked guide as a word to describe this book because I didn't want this to be an inspirational leadership book with platitudes in it. I wanted this to be a book that, yes, you leave inspired, but you leave inspired because you are being given very specific, tactical, tangible things that you can implement right away to get better results. And that is really the passion and the goal, is how do we help more leaders to get bigger and better results? And to your point, Lynn, for some people listening today, maybe you're just getting started and you don't even have a team yet. Listen to this book before you hire your first person. It'll change everything for you. And maybe for someone that's tuning in today, Lynn, they already have a team of 100 people. And here's what I'll say, and we had a leadership discussion about this today. It's very easy to fall into habits when you've been leading people for a really long time. You forget those intangibles. You forget those things that really make a team hum and perform at a very high level. And so I really believe, Lynn, that no matter what level of leadership you're at, whether you're the beginning of your leadership journey or you've been leading people for 40, 50 years, that you will leave this book not only with new strategies and tactics, but recommitted to your vision for your life, and understanding, most importantly, that it's not all on you to do it. And that's what leadership is really about.
I agree with you, and you really hit home the point that you don't need to do it alone. And you talked about building a team as one of the strategic foundation uh, topics of the whole book. Really, that's how you build wealth, is
Yeah.
by building a team. And I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge your team, as this is one of
No,
your
thank you.
pictures of
Yes.
your team. And I think that this is an opportunity to honor, and this is just a part of your team.
Yeah.
But here's what I've heard you say before, that you can build something incredible, but with a team, extraordinary
Yeah.
cannot be done alone.
Yeah. It's
And
true.
so, could you talk a little bit about? I know you spoke about how younger entrepreneurs might have a duct tape team. In other
Yes.
words, you're just like duct taping yourself together with a few.
Yeah.
But how do you actually? grow and have the confidence over time? And I know that this is a deep question, but could you speak to the philosophy of how important it is to move into the skill set, as you mentioned the book? It's a skill set of
Mhm.
building a team.
Yeah. And that's one of the main points that I'm trying to get across to people, Lynn. You know, when leaders begin to start and build a business, or let's say that they're coming to you and they want to learn how to build their wealth, they understand there's knowledge, skills, and expertise that they don't have that they need to acquire in order to get to where they want to be. And that goes for every single realm of life. And what I found very fascinating, but also scared me a little bit, Lynn, was the fact that in the world of entrepreneurship, people see things like, for example, sales, marketing, service delivery. You know, they see these things and they recognize very clearly, I need to build skills around sales. I need to build skills around marketing. Otherwise, I'm not going to have a business. You have to be able to acquire customers to have a business. But they don't look at team building in the same way. They don't look at leadership in the same way, Lynn, where they're saying to themselves, if I don't build a team, I'm probably going to burn out and I'm never going to accomplish my dream. And
Right.
that's why I keep hitting this point over and over again on the book. If you believe that you were given this amazing God given potential, which all of us were. The only way that we can truly fulfill our God given potential, Lynn, is if we surround ourselves with other people that can believe in and see the potential of the vision that we have and what we want to create and can marry our gaps. And that is what a team does, is it allows you to focus on using your strengths, your genius, the thing that you are magical at, and do that thing. And then surround yourself with other people that they're strong in this area and someone else is strong over here and someone else is strong over here. But Lynn, I will tell you, we've had record highs this past year of businesses going out of business.
Right.
And a lot of people say, oh, it's the economy, it's, you know, this, that, and the other. And the economy has been very tough this year. That's absolutely true. But when you dig a little bit deeper, Lynn, when these businesses are going out of business, really what that could be translated to is the will, the desire, the fortitude, the persistence. It's not that the person physically couldn't stay in business. It's that mentally they, in most cases, are so burnt out. They are so exhausted. They are so overwhelmed and frustrated by the challenges that they're facing that they just say, I can't do it anymore. And that is what I want to change. That is what I want to prevent forever, Lynn. And that's the thing. When you go through business, and you know this, you've been in business for yourself, you've done so many incredible things for so long, Lynn. Business is like this. You have good seasons, you have bad seasons, you have highs, you have lows, you have years where you have explosive growth, you have years where you have terrible growth, where the business slides backwards. No one talks about this stuff. But the truth is if you can build a team and you can stay focused on your zone of genius, one, you can recover. You can recover more quickly and keep going. But two, you don't burn out and give up. And that's what we really want to stop the bleeding around.
I love that. And I think it's very important. You know, the ups and downs, no different than the economy.
Yep,
If you're building wealth in the stock market as a portfolio builder, you go through the same things. It's up and down. But I
exactly.
think as an entrepreneur, it's more personal and you do have
Yep.
those burnout times. And I love it that you're here to support people individually who want to succeed over the long run. And
Yeah.
I'd love to put this into context for
Yeah.
everybody who's watching. Kelly Roach is actually my business coach as
Mhm.
well. I've been working with her organization for 2 years now, and I have a little picture I want to share with everyone. This is one of the big, beautiful dinners that you had at one of our group settings, and here's me over here in the left,
Yes.
right, right here, and here's you, Kelly. We had the most extraordinary time, and you put your heart and soul, pour yourself into the people that you work with, and I just love that about you because that helps us to come back, to have the resilience factor. And
Yeah.
when we watch you do that, then we have some hope in knowing that it is possible. One thing I wanted to ask you about, I took so many notes here. I have
Oh,
so many notes
yeah.
when I read your book that I thought I would like to ask you. You know, it was quite instructive as well how you outlined 6 pillars of building a team on top of a solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And those pillars were so defined, and
Mm-hmm.
you had action steps at the end of every pillar, and then an invitation to come do some deeper dive training,
Yeah.
which was so clearly, and I'm going to share that in just a minute. But could you talk a little bit about the 6 pillars?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I love that you brought that up, Lynn, because this is exactly what I mean. People see leadership and management as this like kind of just out there, like, oh, it's a personality thing, or oh, you have to get lucky, or you have to have all this money. A lot of people say to me all the time, oh, I don't run a big company. I don't have the money to hire A players. I can't really have a team. What they don't realize is that building a winning team is much more so about how you behave and the structure that you create in your company. I've brought people in, as you know, Lynn. Nicole is about to celebrate 10 years with me.
Yes.
She joined my team as an intern while she was still in college, and she was the second employee that I ever hired in my business. And I have people from all walks of life, high levels of executive experience to people that are just coming out of college that join my organization. But these 6 pillars that you talk about, Lynn, these are what I call they are like the train tracks that keep the car on the rails. It's building an organization where there's accountability, there's coaching, there's training, there's feedback, right? There's career development. It's creating a structure. So again, for everybody listening, if leadership or team building has felt out of reach for you, I absolutely guarantee it is not, but you have to develop systems. And in the book, like you said, Lynn, this is not just exciting, inspirational quotes or platitudes. I'm actually talking to you about how do you structure the way that you manage people and lead people so that each role in your company can be a profit center? Meaning that instead of you scrambling and working trying to pay for their payroll, instead, each person that you add to your company actually adds to the profitability and the growth.
Absolutely. That was an extraordinary eye opener for me, was to, you trained clearly on how to set up each employee or, person on your team as a profit center. And that takes skill, it takes an understanding, it takes structure, it takes a lot of things. But who would know unless you get a little bit of training? And this book really goes deep into a lot of detailed training. That's why I learned quite a bit about what have not been doing myself, which I think this is going to help so many people, Kelly. The other thing that stood out to me, if it's okay, is one of the things that you talk about strategically is to put yourself at a 50,000-foot view, look down on your corporation and all of the different structures that you have, sit on top, as you mentioned, and then look at yourself as the leader. And what I love that is that you mentioned that the quality of a leader is reflected in the standard by which they lead, the standard that they set for themselves, and then a standard that by which they set for their team. And that was so enlightening because the responsibility is on the leader to have everything reflect all of the pieces of your business and the profitability to reflect that higher standard that you want to have. Could you speak
Yeah.
to that idea of choosing a higher standard?
So I think the key thing is, Lynn, is that this was probably my hardest leadership lesson. And it's why I want to talk about it in the book. It's not easy when you have to look in the mirror and say, everything that I don't like in my business is actually because of me. And
That's right.
that was, and that's why I really try to drill that principle home in the book. I mean, that was a hard one for me, especially if you're a high performer. You're a high performer. I'm a high performer. It's a really hard pill to swallow to say everything I don't like in this business, and what I see from my team is a reflection of either something that I haven't had the courage to address, it's something I haven't taken action on, it's something that I have not raised the bar and set the right standard around. But the beautiful thing about this, and this is, we unpack this in the book, is that when you're the person that is setting the standard, and you're the person that's either creating or failing to create that standard in the business, that also gives you full control. It also means that you can initiate change. You can make your business be anything that you want it to be. And I think, to your point about the 50,000 foot view, I mean, that's the biggest problem, Lynn, is that business owners get so caught up in this micro tunnel vision of what's in front of them right now that they forget their dream. They forget the big vision. They forget where they're going and what they're trying to accomplish. And so they start making decisions that actually sabotage their ability to meet their goals. And a great example is when a CEO starts going down the path of building a business and then hiring a team. And what always happens without fail is, if they don't have experience and knowledge of team building, they have some really crazy, really hard things happen. Whether it's, sometimes the person will steal from you. Sometimes, you hire the person and they had no showing for work. Sometimes the person that you thought that was going to be the dream employee is a nightmare. Everybody thinks that their story is unique, Lynn, right? We know that, but it's not. It's not, because then if you get,
no, it's comforting, actually. You're not alone.
Yeah, and it's just because we're human and we're dealing with humans. And so as you start building a team, you're going to have these things that come up. But every single one of these things is what's going to inform you and allow you to start to understand the safeguards that you need to have in place in your business, the frameworks. That's why I go through behavioral event interview questions and I give you the examples of them in the book. That's why I go through the 7-part system for hiring, so that you can avoid mishires in your business to the extent that's humanly possible. Because just because you do everything right in the interview process and everything right with the questions, that doesn't mean that person, when they show up the next week, is going to be the same person that you interviewed. But you can minimize errors as much as humanly possible, and you can safeguard the business, and you can set yourself up so that when you do have the right person land in your business, they're just going to multiply and duplicate and grow your business to levels that you've never seen and never experienced before. And that's what we really want, Lynn. A lot of people, they're very hardworking leaders, whether in a company or in their own business, but they don't give their new hires the attention and the support and the structure and the resources that are needed. And so those people that they're saying, oh, they just weren't a fit, or they weren't doing the work, or it was a bad hire. No, it wasn't necessarily any of those things. It's that the business wasn't actually set up for success to make this person, successful, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And I also wanted to say this. Everybody who's watching, you really must know that at the end of this book, there is a whole group of additional bonuses that Kelly has provided for us. And they're extraordinary bonus sections. And you're not even, it feels as if you're not even reading anymore as an audiobook. You're actually speaking to us and training us. It was almost like a one-on-one experience that I was listening to you training through these latter chapters. I've never had that experience before. And one chapter I really loved, which was called The Inner Workings of a High-Powered Leader and How to Become One. That was such an amazing thing, because you had questions that your clients had given you on how to build, the real world questions, and your answers to them. And I loved it that you said that inside every question was a gift for you if you could listen to and listen for it. And so I leaned in and I was listening for those gifts. And by golly, they all came tumbling forth one after another. And that's why I want to also acknowledge something else that you did so extraordinarily well in an audiobook, is to offer a bundle of gifts to everyone who was reading it. And you call it your bundle of resources, or the vault. For all of us who are listening, you actually do more. It's not just the training. It's not just the book itself. It's not just the guide. It's not just the learning. But then you offer this resource, a
Yeah.
living vault. You call it a resource center that people can go to. The
Yeah. Yeah.
businessadvisory.com, uh, BTY, bigger
Yeah.
than you, the name of the book, to receive that. And it's extraordinary the generosity that you have given to all of us. And I just want to thank you and ask you if you would tell people how they can go to
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Amazon
Thank you so
and
much. Yes, it
order
is my joy
this
to do it,
great
Lynn. I
audiobook.
want to see more leaders succeed. I want to see more dream businesses built. I want leaders to leave burnout behind. And when you surround yourself with the right people, that's exactly what will happen. So thank you for that invitation. And yeah, you can go on Audible and you can just search bigger than you and it will come up if you want to do the audiobook. The audiobook has I think I put 7 bonus chapters that Lynn is talking about and the secret code to that whole vault that Lynn just mentioned. But if you are a reader and you only just want the hardcover book, you can order that on Amazon as well. But I highly recommend the new audiobook because it has so much added content, as you just shared, Lynn. And I got to go off script in the bonus chapters. You could probably tell I was having fun and I was free in the bonus chapters to really, add
Yeah.
value and bring up, a lot of those real world things that people had been asking me about, which was really, really fun.
Well, I think it's an absolute must. Everyone who's an entrepreneur must absolutely have this audiobook. It was so much fun for me. I will be re-listening over and over again. And I know that if you go out right now and get this at audible.com, you will always have a resource that will um, provide a great deal of support for you as an entrepreneur as
Yeah.
you move forward in your journey of building wealth. Because as we know,
Yeah.
I'm all about building wealth. There's lots of ways to do so. But one thing that Kelly and I agree on, and that is that as we are doing what we're doing, being the leaders that we're called to be, what it really is expanding the wealth of our soul. And so with the contributions and to grow and expand, and so that we can have the capacity to do better and more good works, this is what we're all about. And would you like to say any final words to that point, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, I'm a person of faith, you're a person of faith, and I think we all have incredible dreams that were instilled in our hearts and our minds and our bodies from before we were even born. And I think learning to be a great leader is about stepping into the embodiment of everything that was in the magnificent plan for your life before you even set foot on the planet. And so that's why I think leadership is such a crucial area for everyone to explore because it's stepping into your next level of capability and potentiality.
This is absolutely wonderful. So I just thank you so much for being with us today, Kelly. I
Yes,
certainly hope that we together can uh, promote more entrepreneurship, wealth
it was my
building, and
honor.
happiness. And so, thank you so much for being with us today. I certainly appreciate you. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks for now. See you later. Bye for now.